This arrangement for Bohemian Rhapsody is going to work well for guitarists and for singers who are going to be playing or performing the song unaccompanied. And what we're going to do with this video is we're going to focus on the intro and the ballad sections, essentially all the piano parts. So once you have these sections down, you have a great foundation if you want to teaching yourself the complete song. Since we're learning the song in its original key, we're going to need to use a capo along the 3rd fret position. Anytime you learn a song with a capo, you identify the chord shapes relative to capo, meaning you assume the capo as being the open fret position. So if I would say go to a C chord, you go to a C chord shape. It's not actually a C chord being sounded, because 3 frets higher from the normal C position with the bar, C, C sharp, E flat, the actual sound is an E flat chord. For the intro, we're going to begin with a G6 chord shape. The only difference between a G6 and a regular G is that we lift, in this case, the pinky off the top string. So that'll be an open string played for the first string. And with the G6, sustained strum, then an A7, then a D7, and then back to a regular G. So to differentiate between G6 and G, you want to make sure to get that top string to ring as you go through that 4-chord sequence. So we'll do that one more time. We then start to go into a strumming sequence, and the strum pattern does not have to be an exact one, but here's one suggested one that'll help you fall into it. It'll be down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down for each chord, at least for the first 3 chords, which will be E minor, G7th, and C. So let's attempt, we'll work out that strum pattern with the 3-chord sequence, and we'll do a slow walkthrough, starting with E minor. 1, 2, ready, go. That's followed by a sustained A minor strum and a sustained D7th. One note to keep in mind going back to that G7th chord shape. You might remember in the previous section we had a G major and a G6. We're also applying a G7th, so it's important to get that first string, first fret relative to the capo to sound clear on the G7, so you can differentiate between those 3 chords. In fact, let's hear how that works. We're going to go to the beginning now. We're going to do a slow walkthrough, starting with the opening G6 chord. So here we go, from the top. 1, 2, ready, go. For the next section, the easy come, easy go, little high, little low, it's a little off-center sounding. And we can pull it off on guitar by using a basic F chord shape. What I mean by basic, it's the F chord shape where you just play the top 4 strings. And we're going to play that along the 4th fret position relative to the capo. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's kind of a chromatic thing. We're going to kind of just dip down 1 fret at a time, starting with a easy come, and then dipping down another fret, easy, then going up, go. So it's a chromatic deal with those, along those 3 fret positions. Now if you want, you can make it a little bit more rhythmic. By adding a little palm mute in between. After that, we wrap up the section with another strumming sequence, and the chord progression is going to be C, G, a B flat diminished seventh, just those middle 4 strings, and a D seventh chord. And the suggested strum pattern will be down, up, down, at least for the first 3 chords. The last D7 we're just going to sustain. So here's how that's going to sound with the slow walkthrough. 1, 2, ready, and. And then what I would suggest is we sort of end this section. It's good to focus on a section at a time, so we'll end it with a G6 strum. And I noticed you can either play all 6 strings or maybe just the first 5. So let's put that together. We're going to back it up to the easy come, easy go and connect that with the strumming section. So starting with the easy come, easy go, here we go. 1, 2, ready, and. Now let's put everything we've learned so far together, starting from the top, and we'll do a slow walkthrough. 1, 2, ready, and. For the next section, we're going to start arpeggiating chord shapes, and that starts with the interlude, which will be 2 G6 chord shapes that are played before the vocals kick in. And how we play each arpeggio, we're going to kind of drag along the strings here. And what I mean by that is counting in 4s. We're going to start with the 6-string bass note, skipping over the 5th string. 4 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the next set of 4 notes. What that involves is you're going to apply an upstroke on the top string and then a downstroke on the 4th. And then back to the 2nd string, an upstroke, and back down to the same bass note. So playing those 4 notes again, doing that again. Really isn't necessary to apply an upstroke. If you're more comfortable using all downstrokes, you can do that as well. But let's put together this section. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. I can do that better. Here we go. One more time. And now we'll play it just like the recording, the interlude played 2 consecutive times. After the interlude, we're going to play a 5-chord sequence. This is when the vocals kick in. And the first chord will be the same G6 that we played for the interlude. So you actually play 3 consecutive measures of G6. And the 3rd measure is when the vocals start. So that's what we're going to start with here. And that's going to be followed by E minor. Pretty much the same arpeggio, except when we do this part, it's only going to be back and forth between the 1 and the 4 strings. Backing up a little bit. Then we're going to go to what, relative to the capo, is going to be a bar A minor chord. For those of you who know Stairway to Heaven, it's the same chord shape. We're technically barring along the 8th fret, but again, it's the 5th fret relative to the capo. And for this, again, we're going to play an arpeggio, starting with the open 5th. Again, just dragging across those middle 4 strings. And that back and forth is again between the 1 and the 4 strings, having the pinky down, extending the chord, and then letting go. So let's walk through those first 3 chord shapes, G6, E minor, and the barred A minor, 5th fret relative to capo. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and. Then the E minor, then the A minor, and then after that we sort of wrap it up by strumming an A minor and D7 sequence, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down. So let's put the complete section together, which will be G6, E minor, the barred A minor, 5th fret, relative to capo, then the strummed A minor and the strummed D7th. Here we go from the top. 1, 2, ready, and. Then the E minor, then the A minor, and then as we continue on with the verse, we're going to repeat the G6 and E minor chord sequence with the arpeggios. But then we're going to throw in a variation with the strummed A minor section. So starting with the G6 chord shape, then the E minor, then we're going to go to an A minor chord shape, and here's a quick preview of the strumming section. Go about that, you really want to emphasize the descending bass line. So what we're going to do is we're going to be strumming a chord the whole time. So, and that is going to be based off the A minor chord shape. So the opening strum, down, up, down, up, down. Then as we reach the pinky down, this is going to be an A minor / G sharp chord shape, / G sharp meaning that bass note is G sharp, at least relative to the capo. So down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, down. Note how the pinky went down to the new chord shape, which is going to be A minor / G. Backing it up to the A minor strum, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, down. One more time. The bass line is still descending, but we're going to switch the fingering. If you note here, we're no longer going to use the pinky. We're going to shift the middle finger down to that bass note. Relative to the capo, that's going to be an F sharp chord. And so we're still holding down these 2 fingers for a partial A minor chord. It's still going to be an A minor. It's written as an A minor / F sharp. Then we sort of switch the fingers to an F chord shape, an alternate F chord shape. And then you really want to emphasize just the bass, but you can sort of strum the chord. So we're going to back it up and play this A minor strum section once or twice. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and. Do that one more time. And what we'll do now is back it up a little bit more to the arpeggios that precede that, the G6 and the E minor. Now we're going to put the section together by backing up to the interlude section, which was the two arpeggios of the G6 chord. Remember, when the vocals kick in, we stay on the G6 for a third measure. And we're going to start from there and work our way all the way up to the strummed A minor chord. So here we go from the top. 1, 2, ready, go. The next section we start strumming the verse. And that progression is going to be a C, G/B, A minor, and then a barre minor with the extension. And how I strum it, it's going to be down, up, down, down, up, down. Then one beat, one strum on the G/B, and then down, up, down, up, down. And then that same strum you apply. It's a little bit of a tricky chord change, but it sounds really cool once you can put that together. If we connected the two A minor chords, backing it up to the C, then we're going to go to a D minor section that features a descending bass line, very much the same as the previous A minor section. Here's how that's going to sound. Again, you really want to emphasize the bass line. And how we start that, it's with the normal D minor shape. Then the pinky's going to play a D minor / C sharp chord. And then we're going to descend down that bass line, but with the middle finger. We're going to let go of one of those notes from the D minor shape and reach down with that middle finger. And then keep the middle finger down as we descend down another fret to the second fret. And that's going to be a regular G chord. And you could play that with the third finger down as well, or a regular G. So putting that together, we're going to start with the D minor strum again. Now we'll back it up to where we started strumming the C chord, and we'll work our way up to the strummed G chord. So here we go. 1, 2, ready, and... The final section will be a strummed chord sequence. It'll be C, G/B, and the strum pattern down, up, down, up, down. So backing it up, C, GB, and then A minor. And then we're going to play an F minor chord shape. It'll be a bar chord. And then a C. Putting that together, starting with the C, 1, 2, ready, and... Now we'll back it up to the strumming sequence with the verse with the C chord, and we're going to work our way all the way up to the ending. 1, 2, ready, and... Here's a bonus section that is not part of the lesson preview, but after you wrap things up from F minor to C, if you wanted to go into the next verse, here's what you can do. You can throw in a little interlude. Here's the F minor strum, and then instead of strumming the C to end things, you can actually play an arpeggio. 5, skipping over to the top 3, and I do an upstroke on that last note. And then there's the riff here. So putting that together with the C, top string remains the same on the 11th fret. You're going to have your third finger on the 13th fret. Then you flatten to the both strings, both notes along the 11th fret. Then we lower the second string like so. Lower it again. Do a little slide to start it. And that leads into another section. Once you have each section memorized, the final step with this lesson is to go back to the beginning of the video and see if you can keep up with the lesson preview. And once you can do that, you've got a great unaccompanied show-off piece, or if you want, you've got a foundation to continue on and teach yourself more of the song.